Hi and welcome back to our channel, where we recap your favorite video games for you. Today we will be recapping a newly released action RPG game called Forspoken for you. So without further ado, let's begin! The game's opening scene begins with showing a busy street of a city with a voice echoing subjecting how every individual in the world has something to fight for. As the train of thought continues, a girl named Alfra Holland enters the courtroom of New York City. Judge Maya makes Alfra see her previous records and warns her of the punishment that awaits her as she has already completed her 3 strikes. But she let her off hook with the condition of 120 hours of community service. As she comes out of the court, she gets bombarded by Lisa and her gang. When inquired about the car, Alfra simply tells them how she get caught, which highly upsets them. Lisa threatens with her gun as Alfra asks to tell Mr. Gidgon to get her more time. But Lisa remains persistent, causing Alfra to attack them. They try to chase her, but she becomes successful in running away. As she comes back home to feed her cat Homer, we see her designating an escape plan with a bag full of money. She desperately wishes for a new day when she will be able to finally go away from all of these cops' gangs and courtrooms. However, after waking up, she becomes distressful looking around the fire in her home. She desperately calls out her cat's name. She finds Homer, but when she runs for the window, "Found you" was written all over it with a lock indicating the gang found her and caused the fire. She luckily escapes, but hands Homer to Judge Bird, asking her to take care of it as she is going away to do the right thing now. With a trail of thoughts in her head, she goes back to the Holland Bridge where she was found as a child. As she blames her mother and decides to jump off the bridge, something mysterious flashed around her, catching her attention. As she goes to the abandoned house to find the glittering cuff, it gets attached to her. Immediately, she is withdrawn to another world and the cuff starts speaking to her. Unable to admit the fact, she denies it, but soon a dragon passes by making her realize she is not dreaming. The cuff explains how she needs to get out of there. In the meantime, she asks it about itself. Cuff explains how the place is Athia, and before becoming a cuff he too was an outsider. But during his visit, the tension among the Taunters, the 4 powerful women also known as the ruler of Athia, grew. They also hold special magical abilities. Cuff also tells her they are in Junoon, a small part of Athia, and they need to move forward. Along their way, they encountered bears-like monsters, which Alfra kills using her abilities. Astonished by her newly found skills, she gets nervous, but Cuff ensures her to move forward. But giant beasts attack her and they decide to run instead of fighting. Through their run and chase, she reaches what looks like the main city, but everything appears to be broken. Cuff ensures her that everything is safe and she decides to get some sleep, but yet again, her sleep is disturbed by loud bangs. She comes out only to find a huge dragon attacking her. She tries to fight it off by attacking its vulnerable point, his chest. Nonetheless, the dragon remains adamant even after crushing beneath the rubble. The dragon picks her up but drops her off in some deserted place. In hopes to find it not deserted, she goes to look around. As she ascends the stairs, she found 2 guards holding their spears down on her. The screen goes black and we see her hands handcuffed. When she tries to speak around, the guards ask her to remain shut up. She gets confused about why they are speaking in English. Cuff explains how English might have been a dimensional language. They drag her to the council chambers where her head execution was demanded, but Auden favors her. This argument between the councilman and Auden causes the council to get divided. This enables them to spare Alfra, but she is banished and sent to the Tower of Pinoy. When she tries to resist, guards hit her hard, causing her to get unconscious. After waking up, she tries to use her magic, but Auden comes to save her. She takes her to the lower city and introduces herself as the daughter of Robian and Callista Keen. She begs Alfra to save her homeland from the break and she will help her get back to Earth. They both have a drink together and Auden told Alfra how her father had her research the Tharuna, the hole because of which Alfra came to this world. She just wants Alfra to go through the break and find his research on it. When she comes back, Auden will aid her to go back home. Hearing this, Alfra agrees to go in the morning with a map of Athia upon which Auden marks Kangasen's guild. Through her journey, she reaches Sipel where Olivia, a young girl, helps her get out of the city at the cost of an apple. The girl yet again mentions Tanta, the most powerful woman destined to save them all. But Alfra focuses on leading the city. She met with people affected by break, and to surpass them, she kills them. After the fighting, she reaches the destination place and tries to look around for the journal containing the information. She somehow stumbled upon 2 books having information on how the Tantas could have any power they desired concerning the symbol they draw. But meanwhile, she finds Robin alive. Trying to grasp Auden's father being alive, Tanta Solace soldiers attack them. Alpha fights back, but this results in the castle going on fire. She saves herself and Robin. She tries to take him back to Sipel, but upon return, they find the place on fire. Olivia came running to find her and explain it was all Solace doing and how they were wrong thinking it was her who was there to save them when all along it was Alpha. Alpha fights off with Solace and defeats her. However, 100 lose their lives, including Olivia. Seeing this, Alpha decides to face the Tanta herself and goes to the archives for further help. Joe Haiti, the archivist, provides her with all the details, including the castle map. Going through them, she finds it strange how Tantas used to protect the city once, but now something has changed. Feeling her energy waving off, she decides to go to the city. There she is greeted with a mix of responses where some are worshipping her flower while others trying to threaten her. She also gathers information about Solace, how she manages a whole army, and Alpha passing her realm is a threat to everyone as a whole. Adamant about taking her revenge, Alpha leaves Sipel and reaches Prenost, where Cuff reveals how the power struggle between the Tantas became the reason behind this mega fall down. With that said, they enter the Death of Corruption, where creatures born from Break forces her to take shelter till morning. As dawn descends, Alpha decides to break into the castle. After fighting off all the guards, she confronts Solace and a war breaks out between the two. Solace takes her ultimate form through magic and her anger as the Accelerator, but Alpha becomes successful in defeating her as a result. Another Cuff gets added to her old one, as Cuff names it the Level Up. The city becomes cheerful hearing about the fall of Solace, but all the celebrations cut through when Break starts converting people into zombies. Alpha too gets wounded by the sudden attack. Seeing people dying, Johnny urges her to kill the rest of the members as well, killing the Tantas once and for all. But Alpha gets afraid and collapses. In the morning, she goes to find Robin so he can send her back, but seeing his worst condition, she decides to bring the resin from the Ballow tree to keep him safe. She sets up for her journey to the Tanta of Justice Prav, who also got corrupted. Alpha reaches Avola Castle, but finds it abandoned just like everything else. She tries to take the resin out, but none of the trees were harvesting any. She gets a clue from Bob's line and checks flowers only to find them full of resin. But before she could catch any, she slips off but gets saved by Cuff. Guards of Prav surround her and informs Alpha how the Tanta wishes to talk. Alpha straight up refuses. She finds one Ballow tree to get enough resin. She tries to leave, but Cuff confronts her about how she needs to save all the people. Frustrated, she gives in and goes to see Prav, only to be handcuffed and charged with the murder of Tanta Solace. Prav confronts her and simply asks Alpha to remain quiet, but Alpha calls for a mistrial as she has pleaded not guilty. The Tanta sends her for the trial by the water, where Alpha has to fight off the water monsters. Despite her winning, Tanata remains adamant to kill her. A fight breaks off between the two, resulting in the death of Prav. She dies holding the face of Alpha, calling the daughter of Cinta the Tanta of Love. Astonished and confused, Alpha tries to ask more questions, but the entire place collapses with the death of its head. As she gains consciousness, she inquires Cuff about being Cinta's daughter, and Cuff makes an interesting remark about how this could be the reason why the break never affected her. She scoffs and wonders if she has to kill her mother too. Cuff pointed out how Robin must be the key to unlocking her past, thus they need to go back to Sipel. As they rush back, everyone urges her to go to the council chambers, hinting how something with Robin was wrong. As she reaches the chamber, she finds Robin lying on the verge of death. An emotional moment was shared by them. Robin admits how he knew all along the way of her being Tanta's daughter. He dies holding hands with Auden. Even after his death, Alpha remains persistent in finding a way back home. Seeing this, Auden loses her calm and they get into an argument. Alpha blows off to the archives for finding a way back home. But even there she is left disappointed when the archivist explains how all the truths are gone with Robin. Now the only person who can answer is Cinta. Her mother decides to take the matter into her hand, and she goes to find her mother. But as soon as she leaves Sipel, a green light hit her. Everything goes black and we see Alpha waking up in her apartment. She becomes extremely happy to see Homer and even receives a call from Auden requesting her to drop by for the graphic designer vacancy. Alpha walks around the city and she can be seen loved by everyone. She even goes to a table and meets with her mother. Cinna, who hands her over an early present gift, but she gets suspicious when the waiter calls her name. Realizing it all has been Ola's, she decides to wake up. Alpha realizes it's her mind, so she knows the way. They have a huge fight, but in the end, Alpha becomes successful in waking up. She goes to Ola's castle and destroys her library. As the Tanta of Wisdom, this automatically kills her. When her cuff falls off, she asks the cuff to do the drill, but he silently says an apology and part way. He transforms into a giant celestial being with wings, only for Alfred to realize how he was the demon all along. He thanks her for helping him and assisting him in achieving his freedom from the Tantas. Unable to understand what is happening, Alfred becomes terrified of what she has done. As the demons try to kill Alfred, the dragon comes to save her. The demon calls it Alfred's mother, revealing how it was sent all along. Cinna brought Alfred to Svargana to learn the truth. She learns how the demon corrupted all the Tantas, and by killing them, Alfred does free them. Her mother loved her all along. She also comes to know that her father is from New York, someone named Al. For her mother, she meant hope, but the demon came and destroyed all of it. Before his arrival, the Tantas were good people and cared for their kingdom. Her mother also showed her how, as an heir to her, Alfred has magic inside. She just needs to unlock it. Listening to her mother, she does it during a fight with a monster and revealed her superpowers. She also sees how all the Tantas blessed her with each of their powers. By unleashing it all, she gained her birthright. Her mother still showed her how she was among the last ones standing, but soon the corruption started to seep through in her as well. Still following her mother's vision, Alfred goes to a destroyed building where she sees a room with a crib. Her mother enters and explains how to prevent herself from doing any harm to her daughter. She sends Alfred away. As soon as she does it, she gets converted to a dragon. Showing all the truth, Cinna gives Alfred a choice, either to go back or fight the hardest battle. Bidding goodbye to Homer, she decides to stay and fight. Cinna, smiling, tells her how her mother will be with her all along. As soon as she makes the choice, she finds herself on the head of the dragon. The demon approaches the people of Sipal to get restless, but Alfred asks them to rebuild and goes to fight off the demon. After a disastrous fight, she tries to confront him, but he didn't listen and put all his power into the final move. Expecting her to be killed, he remains shocked to see all four Tanta behind her. In the end, everyone can be seen celebrating as Alfred bids her goodbye to Homer and Auden joins the council. The game ends here. Thanks for watching our video. If you liked it, then please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing. We will see you in the next one.